on the Facebook. Oh, there's live.
Yeah, so technically we're live. Hello.
Hello. Hi, hang on.
Okay, we are always a step behind, so give us a second to catch up to you. Okay, there, I see us.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do I refresh the page on Facebook?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, hang on. Oh, yeah, I see it too.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, I'm going to click share. Share now. That's it.
Yeah, we're done.
Done.
Nice. Now, welcome. Oh man, okay, so we've been just talking about behind the scenes how giddy with excitement we both are for this conversation, so it's gonna be epic. This is episode 15 of the Practical Magic Show, being in touch with your body to create magic in your world. And this is my dear, dear, dear friend, magician and activator, Yanush, who we met in 2018, I think, and you've just, as soon as I met you, you were this like magical creature who just popped out of nowhere. And I don't know that, I mean, I guess it had been a long time since I met someone as magical as you. And and it just like every interaction kind of left me a little bit like dumbfounded in the best way, because your state of being was, and probably in many ways still is, so it was so different than how I was operating in the world. And I remember even one time you said to me something like, gosh, you're just so amazing, which is basically how you start every conversation between us.
Which you are.
And I said something like, wow, thanks, I feel like a real hot mess these days, or something like that. And your response was so loving. It was, I stopped talking to myself like that a long time ago. And it was like, it wasn't shaming, it wasn't judgmental. It was just this like, oh, I didn't know that was an option kind of thing. And you've always been this embodiment of just love and magic. And the more I've gotten to know you, my experience of your magic is, as you described, you spend a lot of time the neck.
Below the neck. Right here.
So I wanted to bring you on to teach that kind of magic, and whatever that means to you, we will explore how that impacts your world in really tremendous ways, because I know it impacts your world in tremendous ways because you've impacted my world in tremendous ways. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I feel giddy, and I feel like I'm excited to be with you, and I'm really humbled by your description of how you see me. So mirror, mirror, my dear.
Thank you. Well, let's at least kick off, because I have no idea where we're going to end up, but let's start with the idea of what are we actually saying when we talk about being embodied? What does that actually mean?
Just that. So we spent so much time here because over the last 200+ years, right, especially the Western world, kind of separated the five senses, like sense of smell, sense of touch, sense of intuition, sense of sight, right, from the sense of thinking. And the value of the thinking, which happens here, at least that's how we perceive it, is valued so much more than any other sense. And as a result, I feel that the majority of us are disconnected from what happens here, right? And a simple way of just stopping and allowing to just feel the breath, just feel it. It just opens just one small possibility to experience what happens here, right? And this is like a complete pharmacy, right? A complete alchemical experience, right? That none of us actually paying attention. Most of us don't pay attention to, right? So embodying that starts with the breath. Just you and I know both about slowing down, right? The slow down is actually to experience myself experiencing me, not experiencing the world. Just me. What's happening here? It's like right now, what do I feel? Like, how do I feel? Okay, my body is, I feel vibration, I feel excitement, I feel a little bit like giddy like a kid. Okay, can I name that? Right. That also gives me a chance to, first of all, it gets me into the space of from here to here. What am I feeling? Because this is a really important organ that it's like a temple, right? What happens in the temple? Body is a temple. And so if I treat it as a temple, I can start looking inside and being in the body with one. I'm not gonna be a separate creature just because my neck holds my like this organ right here, which is really heavy actually, right? I allow myself to just come into my own space. This is
Yes.
yes.
I've never heard anybody talk about intuition or thinking as a sense. You know, sense, sight, touch, taste, taste, smell, hearing, whatever. But like
Yes.
intuition being grouped into that makes so much seemingly obvious sense. But it's almost like those things are treated as these two like mystical other things.
Right.
But really think about like how is thought that much different than smell, or intuition that much different than sight? It is just another sense.
That's right. And I think one of the reasons why it's got escalated and increased over the years is because of the science, right? We really believe in science. So if you show me something and you have substantiated evidence, then I'll believe it. But you created this magical show out of an idea, right? Maybe there was not much thinking. Maybe it was just, oh, okay, I really feel like I want to be in the world. And how do I create my magic? And how do I ask people for this? Who do I want to invite? That comes from where? Right? Where does it come from? So there is, in my work that I work with people, I want to elevate the sense of intuition as high as the sense of thinking. And if it's on par, right, then I have more sources and resources to actually tap into. So it's not only this, it's like there's so much here, right? This heart center, right? The Heart Institute has been known to understand there's so much intelligence in the heart. There's a gut center, there's so much intelligence in the gut. The question is like, if I just expand that, will I be able to tap into more of my life? That's the kind of embodying that I'm talking about, like embodying being in the body, right? So bringing intuition up to the level of thinking. But because people like, and especially in the Western world, you know, thinking is covered.
Mm-hmm. This is this idea of bringing intuition up to the level of thinking is so brilliant. It's so brilliant. Because, I mean, I understand necessity to rely, like to bring in more intuition and have thought serve that. But there's something about the way that I think you speak about the body wisdom, heart intelligence, gut intelligence, intuition with so much dignity.
Oh.
It's not like this, because I don't know, maybe it's just my experience of it, but when I've heard people talk about it in the past, it's like this other thing you need to like tap into, get out of your head, you know, that kind of thing. But the way that you speak about it, it just makes it feel like.
Well, it's not tactical. It's not get out of your head. Get out of your head sounds like, so I pay attention to language a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Just do it, get out of your head. It's still tactical. It's still the doing part. But how do you do it, right? Well, the question is, do you want to do it, right? Do you want to experience it? And the first thing is to actually not do anything. You just sit and get quiet. And
which if you're in your head,
I'm sorry.
Which if you're really in your head is probably the last thing you want to do.
Well, I think. Well, I hope we're not like sliding away from the topic, but we're programmed to think, right? We are programmed to think, and you probably discussed, like we are human beings, right? So it's the question is like, where is the being comes from, right? And what is it like to be in the body, right? Because the mastery is in the body, actually. I can understand the concept, right? I can explain the concept, but unless I live the concept, I don't know it very well, right? So for example, I can tell you what it's like to be a mother, right? I'm not a mother. I mean, I have a mother. I have my wife, you know. So, or and I can tell you, and you can understand intellectually what it's like because you've seen. But unless you are the mother, unless you deliver your child into this world, it's really difficult, right? But what you're not delivering your child through your head. You're delivering the child through your body, right?
Yeah.
So that's the mastery, right? So you know, I've done a lot of Tony Robbins events, and I've done NLP, and I understood that here's where it resides. There's a lot of intelligence, right? Because out of 100% of communication, only 7% is verbal, and the rest of it is the tonality of my voice and my posture, my physiology. So if I understand my physiology, if I understand my body, I'm able to better be in the world, right? But that requires to get quiet. A couple of things that come up for me. Number one, so you have the magic show, right? And I was thinking about this, and this to me, it's alchemy. You know, alchemy, like in the old days, right? It was about converting metal into gold. Like you take a metal and you just do whatever you want to do with it magically, right? You create something and it turns into gold. That's the true alchemist, right? So I created this sort of a belief in myself that I said to myself, like, what if anything I touch in my world turns into gold? What is it like for me to be that, right? And because alchemy, right, it's truly about it's about metals, right? Alchemy is about pharmacy, right? We tinker with things, we put things together, and something happens, right? You can think of alchemy as baking, for example. You combine many different things and you just bake, and that's alchemy too. So then the question is like, what's the higher level of alchemy, right? And the higher level of alchemy, in my mind, it's how do you be one with this organism here? Because there's alchemy here, happens all the time. And in order to facilitate that alchemical reaction, do you understand what I'm talking about so far?
Yeah.
In order to facilitate the alchemical reaction, I have to be really attentive to what's happening here. Mm-hmm. If I'm not attentive to, like, I have, like, for example, an outburst, right? An angry outburst. It's a reaction of the body. The mind just follows, right? It's the reaction to something. So what is like to be attentive to this experience here, so that I can be and create the chemistry in my body, so that I can live from love.
Okay, this is brilliant. Can you slow it down, like, and go even more? Like, what is that?
Sure.
Like, what is that? What is that?
Well, I can look like in practice. It looks like this. This morning, I got up, and this morning it was 49 degrees in San Francisco, and I took a cold shower outside. Okay, so I have only one temperature that's cold, and I'm cold, and I take a cold shower. In the first split second, as I turn the knob and the water just starts coming, I go like this, right? Because it's like this. All of a sudden, it hits you, right? It hits me because it's so cold, right? It's a stark reaction of the body. But then I take a deep breath in as the water runs, and I become one with the water. Mm-hmm. So I understand that it's not going to kill me. I'm not going to die from it, right? So I start breathing with the water, and as I breathe with the water, it doesn't feel as cold anymore. But this requires understanding. It requires understanding of the body. It requires the breathing experience of the body. So that's an alchemical reaction that most people would say, like, you're crazy. Why would you do that? Why would you go outside and do that in the morning? However, when the body is cold, when I turn off the water and I stand and the wind blows, right? I don't feel cold anymore. So now, why am I giving you this example? So if I'm in the meeting, or if I'm talking to somebody, right? And something comes at me that I do not like, right? It's just like just as soon as I turn on the water, cold water comes. It's just the same thing. Now, I already know, and I've practiced how to be with the water. It's the same reaction. If somebody says something that I do not like, right? I do go, ooh, and then I come back to the breath. So I can actually breathe and notice my breath while I'm having conversation with you. And I can slow down my breath while being in conversation with you. So that allows me, just one example of being with the water in cold, allows me to take that and put it in other parts of my life, whether it's with kids, when it's at work, when it's with, with clients. So it doesn't affect me anymore because I know what it feels like when I'm being, quote unquote, attacked by cold water.
That's brilliant. And so if I'm understanding you correctly, the cold water example is such a good one, because I think everybody has an experience where they can relate to that, just that intense moment. And then, okay, yeah, even if you're not taking cold showers in 40-degree weather in California, you might have jumped in a cold swimming pool, or like mentally turned on the cold shower or something like that. So what if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is that same physiological experience that happens in the body when you merge with that cold shower is the same thing happening in your body when your sister kind of like throws a snarky comment at you, or you experience a snarky, and you have that same initial reaction. The same thing you do in the shower is the same thing that happens as you kind of merge into the experience in your life.
That's right.
So you're creating the physical experience of it every day so that you can meet the mental and emotional experiences of it.
That's right. I start with that, not the mental. Because mental just follows. It's I was never before I just thought, yeah, whatever. Really, for years I didn't think about it. I thought it's all like, I gotta think about it, I gotta create a strategy, I gotta do this, I gotta be tactical, right? And I created parts of my life out of nothing through the body. Meaning that I just felt something, it felt good, and I went ahead and created it. So when I talked about what is it like that I can touch anything and create love or live from that place, then if that's my belief, if I continuously tell myself that, then I know how it feels, then I can be like that with you right now. Right? Even though we are, I don't know, we're like a couple thousand miles away, right? I can feel your warmth. I can feel your generosity, you're genuine, and we're connecting. But that's right here. It's not on the screen. It's here. Like, I'm not there. I'm right here. Right. So what is it like? Because I can have a very different experience if I choose to. So a lot of times when I work with clients, for example, right, I take them through a breathing exercise so that the thoughts and the noise just comes down. And when the noise comes down, then just like in alchemistry, right, you need to separate and keep only the tincture or the medicine pure. The alchemy ultimately is about purification of something. So the body experience is a purification of my experience. if I can be purifying the experience, then I can be fully living through a place of ultimate vibration, which is love. So if you look at some of the people who are on your show, right, number of them, they may not even be aware of it, but they live from that place. And so are you, living from that place. And this is why I told you you're magical in the beginning. You have that in you. It's visible for me. It's just visible. You just come in with that glow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I decided recently I was going to start to receive compliments with "I agree."
Now, you see, but what if you can receive it here fully and actually own it? Not here, but yeah, I agree. But what if like there's embodiment of that, like, oh yeah, I am that.
Yeah, that's totally different.
You know, and I don't need to teach you anything. You know it. Now, children know it really well. Like your daughter, right? She knows exactly what it feels like to be in the magic. She's magic all day long.
Always.
Yes, she's in the body. At some point in life, when we have references, when we become inundated with news, when we become inundated with some outside noise, let's put it this way, right? And we believe that we need to raise up, right? So it starts here, but there's so much energy gets trapped here.
And you mentioned a couple of times that the mind follows the body, and this is very intriguing to me. By the way, I love the word references. You said we live in the body, we only know the body until we start to get these external references. I'll come back to the thing I was going to say in a second, but this is so, this adds something really incredible that I can't quite put my finger on, because without any external references, there's only this experience, right? I think that's why it's so important.
So I always say that I have to stay in guard at the gates of my mind and really have a filtration system. What's really true for me, like based on who I am and what I am in the world, right? What is it true for me? So I have to be very careful with assigning references or labeling things. This is this or this is that. Because since this is a magic show, right? I can tell you that I don't believe that things are right or wrong anymore. They just are, right? I have a way of either reacting or not reacting to them, right? And that takes a lot of practice, right? Because I can't, and sometimes I do react. I mean, don't get me wrong, with kids, or like sometimes it happens, but it comes from here. Like the mind just follows. Like if I feel excited, right? I say I feel excited. It doesn't come from here. I don't feel here, right? Or at least in a simple terms, right? With everything feels, right?
Yeah.
But I don't feel from here. I feel excited. So where's that? So what happens when I feel excited? I just smile and I do, give somebody a hug, or I kiss somebody, or I'm in love with somebody. What is that like? That I'm thinking good thoughts, right? So the mind just I feel excited, so I go.
Yeah.
There's so much outcome from that.
And what about the other half of that, though? And I think this is, I love that we're ending up here. Because when I was introduced to the world of the 3 principles, it's fucked with me ever since. And not that I have any opposition to it, but it feels like, I don't know, this mental trap. I loop around. I get it's funny because the 3 principles are about not being in your head, and it just puts me in my head like all the time. So one of the things that they talk about in the 3 principles is that you're only ever feeling your thinking.
Tell me more about that.
So you're only ever feeling your thinking, meaning emotions are the body's response to thought. And so if I'm sitting at my desk and I'm feeling super anxious. I'm not feeling super anxious because I'm sitting at my desk. I'm feeling super anxious because I'm thinking something about what I'm doing sitting at my desk that's creating this anxiousness. And maybe, yeah. So my question is, you're talking about your body, your mind follows the body. Is it both? Your mind follows the body and the body follows your mind? And if I'm confusing you, tell me, because I'm confused.
Yeah, it's a good one. I think it's we'll probably have a longer conversation about it. I find when I'm really connected to what's here, then it becomes much easier to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes much easier to have a conversation. It becomes much easier to have a request of any sort. If I'm anxious, for example, right, then if I find myself that I'm anxious, right, I can feel it in my body, right? I know exactly where it is, by the way, right? So I can actually start paying attention to that and start breathing into it. Because here's the thing, the breath is such an underused resource. It's a gift that we have lungs and we can breathe, right? I mean, you can go without water for like 30 days, without food for like, I don't know, 2 weeks, whatever. But you cannot go without breath for more than 3 minutes or 5 minutes, right? And yet, it's the resource that's available to could change your entire biochemistry in a split of a second. Literally. That's the alchemistry that I'm talking about. So if I can change my biochemistry, my mind goes somewhere else.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is it almost doesn't matter. Like in a sense, like it doesn't matter if you're feeling anxious because of a thought you're having, or you're feeling anxious because of something else, whether your mind follows your body or your body follows mind, the solution's still in the body.
Correct. Well put. That's the magic.
And I mean, genuinely thank you, because I mean, that question's been torturing me for 4 years. I should have asked you
sooner. There's time for everything, Right. But I'm really grateful that I've come across a number of teachers myself who focus on that. And like, for example, when you work out, do you feel better?
Yes.
Okay, why?
I mean, I would guess I just always feel better when when I've moved my body.
Right, but you see, the thing is that, like, we can understand a level deeper, right? What happens chemically in the body?
High endorphins, dopamine.
Yes.
What kind of workout you do.
Right. So, right. So changing the physiology. Now, when you're done with workout, what are your thoughts alike? Like, can you ask, like, majority of people would say, well, I'm less tense, I'm more relaxed. So,
yeah.
Right. So and yet it's really difficult for people to do that, or people not to. So I want to change that upside down. I think the answer is the other side of the coin. I want to change things upside down. I want to say it's not here, because here is already taken care of, right? People have, there's schooling, there's thoughts, there's like information, there's references, plenty of it. What about here? Like, I want to make sure that this is not lost, right? And bring it up to the surface, actually.
No, it's so true. It's so true. The head is taken care of, like, forever. You're pretty much good.
Pretty much, yes.
Especially most people who are listening to this show, like, you're good.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. You don't need more knowledge or information.
No.
Yeah, it's about the quiet space. It's about listening to the inside. Go ahead.
No, I totally agree. And just text me that, like, every day if you don't mind.
I'm happy to do it. I just took a shower, Vanessa. What
I was going to ask is, and this can be a long final answer, but a final question, but what are the shifts that you see occur for people externally in their world when this happens. Because right, the idea of the practical magic show for me was a way to appease my inner doer and like my inner magician who was like, could you give me a second? And my doer was like, no, I'm busy all the time doing shit that's not really that helpful. And so it was like, how do we bring this magic so that we can create the stuff in our world materially love,
Yeah.
but from this completely different place? So how does this impact that?
Okay. Here's what came up for me. So, there's a stimulus and response for anything. Like you just ask the question, so I have a response, right? So with understanding about the body, right, this distance between the stimulus and response can just become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, and when we have space to respond, right, then we have choices, right? So the demands on our brain and our time and our society is that we respond immediately. You got to have a like on Facebook because you like something, or you got to respond to it. So the body intuition, the body intelligence, the breath itself can create this. So why is that important? It's important because when your husband asks you for something, you don't want to do it, right? You can do the hang on and then respond, right? When you have a really difficult employee that you're dealing with, right, then before anything comes out of your mouth, the first thing is like, okay, what is this here? Then I can be more effective communicator, more effective partner to my employees, to my partners, to people that I'm surrounded with. Sometimes I write an email and I wait 24 hours to send it, because then, okay, hold on, what state I was in. So the practical experience is everywhere, actually, in every part of our life, right? For example, I'll give you an example. Before this talk, right, with you, I took a 30-minute nap. Why did I do that? I just wanted to reset, so I'll be fresh for this, right? I could have been on my computer answering emails, but it's a choice that I make that I believe that is more valuable for me than answering emails. Because if I'm in my state of mind that I'm like completely like optimized, then I can answer emails in no time. I mean, you probably noticed that like when you like in total state, like the same thing that you wanted to do that took like freaking forever, you do it in 10 minutes.
So true. It's so true. Because the way that I see this show up in my clients is all of the examples that you shared. And to no mystery to anybody, I think most of my clients are like super high energy, productivity obsessed, achievement junkie doers. And that's me out of love, guys. And self-reflection. And so that space becomes equally important when you sit down and you're someone who wants to create something from nothing. As in, I want to build a business, I want to create a different job, I want to go a different direction in my life. And if you're just reacting, you're really like doing nothing. Or do you speak to that?
Well, hang on. You're doing something, right?
Yeah.
But what I want to tell you is that Tesla now supplies you with batteries that you can install in your house, and you can store energy that you can use later. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Okay. So like, the Tesla or other companies, they supply you with a battery. So you have solar panels and you have a battery at home that stores, like you buy AA battery, there's a battery storage in it. And once you use it, you have to throw it away.
Right.
So the body has a certain amount of battery, right? Charge, because we have charges, right? As human bodies, like on the cellular level, it's all charged, right? That's just how we spark. So the problem with human body is like we cannot store energy. You can't just store it for 5 days and then just use it later.
Right.
So it's whatever you generate, you use. The question is like, how do we generate and what do we use it for? Right. So if you're gonna do a bunch of stuff all the time, right, at some point you're just gonna be, I've seen it, you're gonna crash. Yeah. So a perfect example is my wife. She's an extremely balanced person. she knows her boundaries, and she balances things with, like, she's going to work out and she's going to do the work. She's going to work out, do the work. So that's where she balances her body requirements. So my when I work with clients, I always want to understand holistically. It's not about what's on their plate, but how they're taking care of the body as well. If this is not the case, they're not taking care of the body, I know at some point it's going to crash, and it does, and it's been consistent pretty much. So it's intentional. Like there's no other way.
Yeah, no, I can understand that, and I think what I'm kind of seeing too is when you say at some point you're going to crash. Crash doesn't have to look like total burnout or exhaustion either.
No.
Like I'm crashing in terms of I can't think clearly. I'm crashing in terms of I don't really have access to creativity. I'm crashing in terms of I don't have the energy really required to show up with any level of enthusiasm to.
Yes, and ultimately body creates disease, what we call disease in that society, right? So because it's kind of you dehydrating your system, simply put, right? So the system goes into a mode where, like, hang on a second, I got to protect myself now. But it's not your brain, right? The body needs to protect the brain, so it actually shuts down. So people shut down in many different ways. Some people need to go to sleep. Some people need to take a week vacation. Some people, whatever that is, right? It doesn't really matter. But the point is that the body knows. And if I can be with the body or pay attention to it, then I know when I need to slow down, right? Because think about it this way. It's like this. If you are a race car driver, right, and if you're going at 200 miles an hour on a straightaway, it's easy. But you have to have a turn, right? If you ask any race car driver, they don't hold on to the wheel really tight. Because if they do, they will miss the turn. They'll hit the wall. They need to hold on really tightly and then feel it. Just like the life. Like, we've got to feel the life when we have to make a turn. And when we have to slow down, when we have to speed up. So it's just that understanding about what's going on below the neck is probably the most that's not being talked about in my experience.
Agreed. I totally agree. And it makes what I love so much about you is you say things that I don't know, and as soon as you say them, I'm like, duh, like I knew that. That's what. That's
Thank you. I mean, some of them are pretty obvious. We just don't put it out. Then, so because of you, we can put it out now.
You talked a lot about breath work. Is there any particular? Is it literally just a breath? Is there any particular breath work practice that somebody who I might know a few people, it's definitely not me, but somebody who maybe ends up in like these, very heady states that are hard to get out of? What's your favorite breathwork practice? Pull you down.
I've done a number of different kinds. I mean, obviously, I've kind of posted it. I've done Wim Hof a lot, and that's one type of breath work. I've done Vipassana meditation, where you just basically follow your breath without any forcing it, without any pushing it, just the way it is. I have a number of friends who do breath work. There's Art of Living. There's another way of breath work. I mean, I'm happy to send you a few examples. There is holotropic breathing. That's another way of breathing that takes you to different places. And everything can be done with breath. It's very, very powerful. It's more powerful than we think. Like, the body chemistry changes immediately. You can go from state of being frustrated to being elated in no time. It's not a drug. It's not a thought. It's not a toy, right? It's not money. It's just that. It's the most powerful thing that this body has.
Yeah.
That's being underused.
I'm really paying attention to this because you're probably the 7th person in like 3 weeks, not to mention like the power of breath work. And I'm kind of like, okay, I'm paying attention.
I think the world would be so much better if well, I can tell you one thing, that during the beginning of pandemic, there were people who were doing like global breathing and global meditation, right? So that's talking about that like massive alchemistry magic. I mean, that's the place.
Yeah, there are some fascinating studies that show like statistical shifts in places in the world from this kind of breath work.
Sorry, the closest I can think of is that, I don't know if you remember Avatar. Do you remember? Did you watch Avatar?
The movie?
The movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and remember in the end that they were all like sitting under the tree, all connected?
Yes.
That's how we are. We just don't see it.
Yeah.
So the breath can actually be that pathway to connection. Because if you put a room of 10 people, for example, and everybody start breathing in unison, magic happens. Like our body starts to move the same, our heart rate starts to move the same, right? There's just collectively, it's invincible. But that's true magic.
Mm-hmm.
That's invincible. But if there's a way to pay attention to it, it becomes part of the embodying experience of what's possible.
Mic drop. You're brilliant. I absolutely for people who want to be more in your world, how do they find you?
That's a great question. I don't have a website. I don't advertise. They can ask you.
Yeah, they come to me.
For sure. Happy to help anybody who wants to know more about it, give all the resources that I have, or just have a conversation, or just share anything I know.
Yeah.
Happy.
I have to just emphasize that for you, because I know it in like the, I don't know, like the normal world outside of coaching, I suppose, people have a hesitation to reach out, and like, do not hesitate to reach out. When he says that, he means it.
No, I really mean it. I really mean it. Absolutely. Yeah. Please.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
No.
I love you. Thank you.
Thank you.